Bindu Bodhanapu from UK, London. We are very curious to listen and to know many things on the concept, the power of the heart. Thank you so much.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am very proud to be a Sharavarian at SGM, a global platform. Yes, it's my great privilege and honor to introduce a great towering personality who had an awakening in the year 2020, where she discovered her true purpose of life through meditation. Of course, she is from Andhra Pradesh, southern India, but at present she is in UK. She had decided to listen to her true inner calling and left the corporate world. See, what a great person. She is a trained and certified transformational coach, my dear friends, therapist, and an energy healer. As a consciousness and healing contributor to the world, she is on a mission to help millions of people around the world and awakening their consciousness through the meditation practice and conscious parenting. She facilitated many meditation sessions across the globe. She is currently conducting meditation sessions at the world-renowned University College of London Medical School for the doctors, professors, and the medical students. The person whom I am introducing today is none other than the chartered accountant by profession, Coach Bindu Bodhanapu. Please, let's join together to welcome Coach Bindu Bodhanapu. Yes, please.
Thank you, Coach Armugam, for that wonderful intro. I'm very delighted to be here on this platform. Although this is the very first time, I'm sure we're going to walk a long distance together. So today's concept I've chosen, the power of heart, is the need of the hour for this world. And I'm really looking forward to teach the importance of listening to heart and how can we heal our bodies and also heal our relationship through the power of heart. And I just want to tell you a little bit about myself more deeply. So I've been a chartered accountant and I left the corporate world, but I have really invested into my personal growth. So where I had great associations with various scientists across the globe, like you can see, probably you might recognize some of these leading scientists, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Shamini Jain, Greg Braden. So the vision of HeartMath. HeartMath is a research-based organization where the vision of the organization is to create a kinder, heart-centered world where we all care for one another and live harmoniously in peace. Because the world is lacking peace at this point in time. So I'm going to teach you many concepts from this HeartMath Institute and also a few techniques, how you can use them in your day-to-day life and how can you manage your stress levels. So I'd like to ask you a question before we dive into this. What is the biggest challenge you're currently facing? I'd like you to type in the chat whatever you're facing currently. What is that you're facing right now? The leading challenge the world is facing currently is stress, right? I'm sure you all would agree in one or the other way we are actually facing stress. What does stress mean to you? Stress in scientific language, is a response to a threat, which can be real or imagined, that results in a series of adaptations by our body. So when we are stressed, we have a lot of changes that happens to our body. I'm sure we all would agree that you all know that stress is not good for you. But do you know at what level stress is not good for you? This is something that's never been taught in our mainstream education, nor in the corporate world. We have never been communicated or never been trained on the side effects of stress. So now let me give you some scientific research to let you understand how stress is impacting our body. 75 to 90% of all the primary visits to care physicians results from stress-related disorders. This is all coming from the scientific research, and this is coming from the American Institute of Stress. If you can see, in America, 70 to 90% of the visits to the physicians are due to stress. In US, 7 out of 10 selling the drugs are basically stress related, such as ulcers, hypertension, depression, and anxiety. As you all know, many people suffer from depression and anxiety, and this is mainly because of the lifestyle we are currently living. And then, what is the link between stress and hypertension? So again, this is again coming from the research. So high blood pressure, cardiac arrest, hypertension, again, all these are related to stress. What happens during stress? For example, you're working. What happens? Probably your manager is giving you a lot of work to do and you do not know how to finish it. What happens? What's your reaction to stress? Stress gives a warning. The body talks to you when you're stressed. You responds in a pressurized situation with intense anger, resentment, emotionally harmful remarks. So now I'm sure you all can relate to it. Whenever you are stressed, and when you're either your mother, or either it could be your child, or it could be your wife comes to you and talks to you, what is your response? Is it very happy response, or are you talking to them in intense anger and resentment? So this is the reaction of stress. It inhibits us from our heart's free wisdom from navigating life. So we are never living a happy life when we are bound to stress. Loss of mental clarity, and I'm sure you all would agree, when you are stressed out at work, you lost the clarity. You don't know what to do. Right? Neither at work, it can be anywhere, either at work or even in your personal situation. Diminishing capacity to rest and relax. So you can never relax. That is why insomnia is one of the disease that most of the people are suffering from, because they're not able to relax their mind, because they're bound to stress. What happens when you're stressed? You feel separated and you shut off from others because you're stressed. You don't want to talk to others. You don't want to see anyone, right? There is no happy conversation with another person, right? This is the stress warnings or the signs. Then you should really understand, yes, I am stressed. Now, let's now look at life, living a life in a heart-based living. HeartMath Institute have done a lot of research. They've done 30 years of research on the power of the heart and how can you use this heart to basically live a happy, joyful, and a more compassionate and a kinder lifestyle. Right? Now, what is heart-based living? You must have been hearing this word, listen to your heart. This is a very common term that we all use, right? What does that mean, listen to your heart? Your heart doesn't speak to you, but what does that actually mean? There is a deeper meaning and there's a deeper significance. So when you can listen to the heart and you live a life listening to your heart, is basically the heart-based living. So scientifically, heart-based living is a simple phrase which suggests that we are including our heart's intuitive feeling along with our minds when making choices and decisions that shape our life's direction, happiness. So an example which I like to give you, heart-based living, or I listen to my heart intuition. I studied becoming a chartered accountant. It took me 8 long years, putting my family at stress and putting myself at stress, doing a full-time job and being a mother and a wife. It wasn't easy for me. But then when I decided that this is not for me. I wanted to live a happy life where I can also create an impact in the society and the world. I listened to my heart intuition, and this is when I left my corporate world, and now I'm doing something I enjoy every day, right? This is what it is. You can just relate to your own circumstances. So what happens when we are living in a heart-based lifestyle? Heart-based living empowers co-creation with others for benefit of all. So when I'm living a heart-based, when I'm listening to my intuition and doing things that my heart is telling me, now I can see the impact. I'm impacting many people across the globe. And now I'm also sharing what I have, and I'm also helping other people benefit from this, right? So now I'm able to access the power of the heart's intelligence. So how can you access the power of heart's intelligence? Is through intuition. When you silence your mind, you can hear the heart's intuition. So what is his heart's intelligence? There is an intelligence that the heart has. So the flow of new awareness and intuition that will experience once the mind and the emotions are brought into alignment. So once the mind and the heart is in alignment, we can tap into that heart's intelligence. This intelligence basically guides us to live a smoother life, right? And also the benefits, it also benefits not only us personally, but also interaction with others. For example, a family members, or for example, your colleagues, your neighbors, your friends. It can be anyone. So you can tap into that heart's intelligence. So everyone has this innate intelligence within themselves, only waiting to be activated through certain practices. So you all have it, I have it, you have it. Every human being has this innate intelligence. But how do you tap into it? Is only through certain practices. We need to open our heart a little bit more. Now we all are closed hearts now, right? So now this is how you need to become your authentic self to actually activate that intelligence in your heart. And when you activate that intelligence, then you feel more alive. You really have that love for life. You want to be helping others. You want to be of your use to another person rather than living a life self-centeredly. Because corporate world, we see people are living so self-centered, right? But when you tap into your intelligence, you then understand that we are here to we are all here for a purpose. So I'll ask you a question. When I did this program, I was asked, what is the opposite of stress? We spoke about stress just now. What is the opposite of stress? The opposite of stress is kindness. The corporate world and kindness cannot go together because we're so stressed out in the corporate world generally, right? So now let's move to the heart now. How does the heart communicate with the brain? So in a corporate world, or generally, we use a brain much more than the heart. I would really be surprised if somebody tells me I always use my heart, not my brain, unless they're a spiritual person, but rather we all use a brain much more than the heart. How does a heart communicate to the brain? The heart directly aligns many systems in the body that functions together with the brain. Okay, there is a constant communication that happens between the heart and the brain. So when stress attacks our body, it is the heart that gets impacted, then the brain, and then the body. That is why you see a lot of people is having heart attacks now. It's because of the stress that is caused by the external environment. So now the heart makes many of its own decisions. So if you can imagine, if you silence your mind and if you really want to take a decision on something, you really need to listen to your heart, right? And how do you listen to your heart? It's only when you tap into the intelligence of the heart, which is otherwise also known as intuition. I'm sure you all must have heard the word intuition. What is intuition? That is a communication that the heart is telling you, do this, right? So, but because we are so logical minded, because we are so egoistic, we don't want to listen to the heart. We just shut our heart and we just listen to our brain. Okay, so did you also know that heart, when the fetus is in the mother's womb, it is the unborn fetus, it is the heart that starts beating even before the brain is formed, and it is called the autorhythmic. And then also the heart has its own brain. How many of you know this? The heart has its own brain in the heart. It's called neuropeptides. So that is why the heart's intelligence is much more powerful than the brain. The heart is about 100,000 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. That is why we say that, thoughts sends the signal out. Thoughts are electric, feelings are magnetic. What does heart relates to? Heart relates to feelings, right? So thought sends the signal out into the universe, but it is a heart that pulls the feelings back. So this is something for you to be aware of. So heart is 100,000 times stronger. So I'm sure you will now be convinced to listen to your heart rather than the brain. Let me tell you some more signs, and this is all the research from HeartMath Institute. So now what happens? So now you're stressed at work, for example, and you're in frustration, anger. What happens? There is something called heart rate variability. What does that mean? The beating, the way the heart is actually beating, it is called the heart rate variability. This is what the ECG also detects, right? So now when you look at this picture, what happens? What is the innate nature of the heart? The innate nature of the heart is to be happy, to be joyful. But then because we're using the brain all the time and we are frustrated because of stress, what happens? If you see, this is frustration. When you're in frustration, look at the beating of your heart, ECG frequency, right? Can you see? It is beating very incoherently. We call it coherence. Coherence means being in the state. When the heart and the brain are working simultaneously, it is called coherence. When it is incoherent, so look at the beating of the heart, and this is when we actually develop heart diseases. And now, on the contrary, appreciation, when you appreciate other people, can you see how beautifully the heart is beating? This is what we would actually need. And I'm going to teach you some techniques how to bring your heart back into coherence when you are in a stressful situation. Another chart for you. So frustration, anxiety, worry, irritation. This is a state we are always in, right? So what happens? Look at the state of the heartbeat, right? Impairs performance. So this is what it is. But then look at the heart rate when you're in coherence. Positive emotions, appreciation, love and care. This is what the heart is beating at, the very beautiful waves of the heart. Now I'm going to teach you some tools and techniques. How do we go about this? Appreciation tools. So now, because now we understand that the heart, we are always in stress, right? Always something's happening in our life and we are always stressed. And because of this, everything starts with a thought. So everything starts with a thought. It could be a negative thought which creates stress in our mind. Stress leads to anxiety. Anxiety leads to depression, and depression leads to disintegration. This is the flow of why people go into depression is because of these reasons. Suppressed emotions, when they are not being expressed, people go into emotions, and this is purely because they could have had a very bad childhood, a traumatic childhood, inner child issues during the childhood. And then when these emotions has been suppressed and these have not been healed, what happens? As they grow older, they actually go into depression, right? So now let's understand what are the tools that we can use for the well-being, for personal well-being. How can we become joyful, right? Appreciation is a tool. What happens when you appreciate others? increases well-being, boosts your immunity system, uplifts and inspires you. So this is a very easy technique, right? I'm going to teach you how to use it with your heart, but to understand appreciation. So please appreciate as many people as you can at your workplace, at your home, at your friends, neighbors. You don't need a reason why you should not appreciate others. If not, you can at least appreciate the weather, look at the sun and express gratitude, right? Gratitude is again a way of appreciation. I'm going to teach you now is a heart breathing. This is called a heart focused breathing. This is a research based technique by HeartMath Institute. How do you actually, let's take a situation when you're very stressed at work, and because you don't want your body, the moment stress attacks the body, what happens? You will have, at some point, you will have diseases, right? Because, and in a long run, I don't say it's immediately, but if you're living in survival, right? Survival means you're constantly in stress all the time. The body will not cope. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system needs to be working simultaneously. It's like, for example, let me give you an analogy. So if you're driving a car, you're pressing the accelerator, right? And at the same time, you're pressing the brake. What happens? The car starts shaking. And what happens? It's gonna break down. So now, the quick coherence, that is first one is of heart focused breathing. Now, how do you bring the body into coherence? That means bringing your brain and your heart into coherence. So this is another level of the heart focused breathing. So this helps to create a coherent state. This is a state we need to ideally be in all the time. But because we are stressed, heart rate variability is different. So now it helps you to create a coherent state, offering access to your heart's intelligence. Now, what do you do? How does it help you? It reduces your stress right in the moment. It makes you feel positive, focused and calm. It helps you to perform your best and then access your creative intuition and higher level decision making. If you are a manager, if you are a student, if you're a housewife, if you are, a teacher, just practice this. This is an amazing tool developed by HeartMath. So how do we do that? The first step, again, heart focused breathing that we just did. You just put your hands on your heart and then just breathe into your heart. Ensure that your breath is actually going into your heart, right? Slowly and deeply. And in the second step, what do? This is important. Now, regenerate a feeling of appreciation, care for somebody. So you could, send out love, or you could send out appreciation for somebody. It could be an event that's happened in your life. For example, somebody has helped you and you're so grateful to him. So just be with that feeling. How did you feel when that person helped you? Or how did you feel when you got a promotion, for example? How did you feel when you bought your new home? So, any kind of feeling that will give you happiness, joy, that is a feeling you need to bring in, and then be with that feeling for a few seconds and then breathe out. So this is when you do this for 5 minutes, your stress is completely gone down to zero, because your heart rate variability, I showed you in the earlier picture, it comes into nice curvy graph. So this is a wonderful technique. It will help you depleting energy movements, draining energy movement at your workplace or any situation. This quick coherence technique, you can use it anytime and anywhere. Okay. Now, heart lock-in technique. So this is again the same thing that we did just now. Heart locking exercise. HeartMath Institute is now, it's a research-based organization, as I told you before. They developed gadgets, tools, technologies, research. Big scientists are working with this organization. So now they're measuring the coherence in the world of people who are actually conducting this heart locking technique. We call it ARDHAT. ARDHAT facilitators. So everywhere there's some people who are conducting this. It's like meditation session, but not meditation session. But this is heart lock-in technique that we do for 20 minutes. So what happens? So the more and people in the globe do it, we are spreading that electromagnetic energy to the world, which will help in healing the planet. Appreciation, like I said, appreciation is something that we need all the time. So how do you appreciate people, right? Appreciation exercises. So let's go deeper. Try incorporating appreciation into your life in simplest ways. So take a list, take a paper, write down who do you want to appreciate. You can every day, you can take 2 3 appreciation breaks. Appreciation list, as I said earlier, make a list of people you want to appreciate. Oh, I want to appreciate my school friends today. Today I want to appreciate my work colleagues. Today I want to appreciate my neighbors. Today I want to appreciate my enemies. Why enemies? Enemies is because every experience in your life is now turned into wisdom. Enemies, or people who have hurt us, come into our life to teach us a lesson. Appreciate other people, send love to people, compassion. So it is so important that we are appreciating, being kind. And then he also calls, instead of mindfulness, he says kindfulness. He's created his own practice called kindfulness. Be kind, appreciation, kindfulness, joy. These are the elevated emotions that our heart really needs, not negativity, not people's anger, greed, jealousy. This is not the place for the heart. Each and every one of you to at least practice the act of kindness every day. Thank you everyone for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We got to know many new things which are scientifically proven from HeartMath Institution. We are so fortunate to listen. Thank you so much. And it's time to listen the review for 5 minutes by our another Sherevrian, the reviewer of the day. He is Coach Von Eric Tandok from Canada. Thank you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you, everyone, and especially to you, Coach Bindu, for your presentation tonight. Also, we appreciate HeartMath Institute. Thank you for sharing the vision of HeartMath Institute. But the focus more is about you, and I'm here to give a review of your presentation. First, I would like to say I like your white wall as your physical background. So it doesn't distract everyone. The focus is only you as the speaker and presenter for today. Well done. Second, I would like to appreciate the way how you deliver this presentation. You're very calm. You have a calm voice. You speak slowly that everyone understood you. I mention your calmness that is only imperative because it is related to your topic. About heart, managing stress, being appreciative, being kind. And before I forget, thank you for telling the word kindfulness. I'm actually practicing mindfulness so that it helped me to be calm. And then later on, I discovered kindfulness. And there is a book about kindfulness, which I'm going to share. It's about a book by Caroline Mellington. So thank you very much for incorporating that in your presentation today. The power of the heart. That was very, very attracting title for me because I asked myself, what will Coach Bindu will going to talk about on Sunday? You ask question about what is your number one concern in the world today. Some said generation gap. Others said world peace. I even included injury and health issues. And then I understand where you're leading us. You're leading us to one very important concern happening to each and everyone and that is stress. Stress is a major part of our life. We can only manage stress. We can't avoid it, but there's a technique on fighting, eliminating stress, and you mentioned those different techniques. I have screenshot here. I'm going to review them one by one. You mentioned to us the emotion produce different information patterns when we are frustrated and we appreciate. You mentioned the heart rhythm patterns. What I love more is the appreciation tool. But I would like to emphasize here, yes, I do agree and I believe with you because I try to appreciate each and everyone in my surroundings, including my family. But one thing that I would like to emphasize here, we can do appreciation as long as it's genuine. And again, you are mentioning about the heart. We don't need to appreciate someone just to like, because we want them to be like us. The presentation is great. The slides are great. The delivery is great. And that is one thing I like in a speaker, very calm, rather than being exaggerated. Right? So it's good. If there's one thing that I would like to suggest, probably this one. To be able not to interrupt the focus and the attention span of your listeners, maybe minimize asking, how much more time do I have, Coach Rambabu? Because you have a really good delivery and then you eventually you insert that, how much more time? That interrupts the focus of your listeners. I would suggest, this is just only my suggestion, when you do presentation worldwide, if you can avoid the word, how much time do I have? I'd rather suggest have time clock. That's in my end. Overall, I love your presentation. I love your personality. I love your delivery. I love your calmness. Over to you, Coach Rambabu.
Fantastic review, dear brother, Coach Juan Eric, along with Bindu ma'am. This is the suggestion for every one of us. Definitely, we do follow, we do learn like this, and we give utmost priority to the listeners or the audience. You have done an amazing job. Once again, congratulations to our guest of honor today, Bindu Bodhanapu from London, UK. Thank you.